What's up, guys? This is Chaplain Mark here with part two of how to purchase a vehicle. We're going over mechanics now. This is everybody's fun part of buying a car, is checking under the hood. Back with the '02 Lexus LS430. Let's take a look under the hood. A little windy out here today. All right. So we under a Lexus. Listen, let me tell you something right now. When you're dealing with a car like this, you open the hood, you're not going to see a whole lot. They basically covered everything in plastic. Most people don't even understand why it's so much plastic underneath the hood like this. Well, it's for noise and vibration. Uh, a lot of what you see here has a purpose, even though you think it's just dressing. Uh, all this plastic, all this covering up, is to keep the noise inside the engine compartment and away from you. Now, this particular engine, uh, the 3UZ FE, excellent engine. You're talking about an engine that could go over 500,000 miles with simple maintenance, timing belts, water pumps, and all that kind of stuff. But that's not what you want. When you go in to look at a car, what you want to do, first of all, is look at it. Has the engine been cleaned? Now, me, all the cars that I buy, I like a dirty engine. Not oily, not greasy, but dirty. I like to see, road dirt and stuff like that. That lets me know that people ain't been playing games in here. That they just been uh, driving the car for the most part. But I do like to see clean oil. So the first thing you want to do is check the oil in the vehicle. You want to see it clean. Now this oil here, it's perfectly clean. This car has been very well maintained. I can tell just by the way the color looks. I can smell it, but I don't advise you smelling it. You might put yourself in a coma or something, smelling stuff you ain't supposed to smell. But I can tell this engine oil's clean. I want to look at coolant, things like that. I want to check all the fluids, make sure the fluids ain't low. I want to look on the ground. I want to make sure things ain't leaking. I want to look at valve covers and make sure everything, if the engine's hot, I want to make sure things ain't smoking. All of these things are important. Fluid level, fluid color, all that gives you a history whether or not a person's been maintaining their vehicle. Now, Americans are not known for maintaining their vehicle. That's what makes the Lexus Toyota brand a cut above because they almost, factor that in. Americans don't take care of stuff. We got to make this engine a lot better. Now, European cars and a lot of American cars, they making the vehicle based on the fact that you're gonna take care of it. But Toyota, Honda, stuff like that, they making a vehicle based on the fact that you're not gonna take care of it. So when I'm looking at everything, I'm checking the fluids and everything like that. I'm looking underneath the vehicle. If it's passing the point, if I don't see no red flags here, I'm gonna go on further than that. Next thing I want to look at, tires. For me, tires are very important. These are brand new tires. That gives me confidence. That means I can get on the road knowing that I don't have to worry about tires. But a lot of cars will have worn tires. If you see bald, if you see steel, or if you see uneven wear in the tire, meaning one side of the tire is worn more than the other, that's an indicator that this car has got front end problems. And that doesn't necessarily mean don't buy the car, but that means that it's more money you're going to have to spend after you buy the car. I, I'm trying to check the brakes. I'm checking how does the brake pedal feel? And so those are the things that you'll understand. So when I get in the car is going to tell the story. You if you know what to look for, a car is going to tell you everything you need to know about it. On initial opening the door of a vehicle, I can tell how well that person took care of the car. The seats and the wear on the car, the armrest, I'm looking at all of that. I'm looking at the buttons. Are they worn out? When I smell the car, am I smelling a detailed car, or am I smelling a vehicle that just has been maintained and not smoked in? A lot of people don't understand a vehicle that's been smoked in is gonna have a little bit more electrical problems than other cars. That smoke and ash gets all in electronics and dashboard and things like that. Let's go ahead and start this car up. First thing I want to do, turn the radio off. I want to turn the air conditioning off too. I don't want to hear nothing but the engine. I want to listen for any noises, anything like that. Uh, I see a check engine lights on. Now that's a red flag, but that doesn't stop the process just because I see a check engine light. The check engine light's okay. That is factored in because that's more money I have to spend to figure out why that check engine light's on. I see 216,000 miles on the dash. I don't see much gas in the car. These are small indicators, but I'm paying attention. I'm checking the electronics, make sure they work, make sure the climate control works and everything like that. Everything works. I want to check the windows. I want to check the sunroof, all that kind of stuff. But those are secondary issues. My main concern is how is this engine running? I want to let the engine run until it gets to operating temperature. I want to make sure the car is not overheating. All these things are very important when you talking about the mechanics of the car. I'm gonna put the car in gear. How long does it take to go in gear? Is it take a second or two, or does it go right into gear? That's a check on the transmission. Uh, these are very important steps to go across when you're trying to buy a vehicle. This vehicle seems to be running fine, but that check engine light means that I got to spend money to figure out why that's on. That could be anywhere from $200 to $500 to figure out why old Lexus check engine light is on. But it's by all indications it's running fine, so I'm not too worried about that. Everything works in the vehicle. I like the vehicle. It feels good to me. I don't smell nothing weird. I don't smell mold or mildew. Another thing, some vehicles have issues with water leaking into them, especially if it's got a sunroof. I know you like the cars with the brains blown out, but sunroofs are typically, as cars age, they can be problems. So I don't see any water stains. The headliner looks very good. These are things that you should be looking at. Does the headliner have stains in it? Does it have any evidence that water was leaking in here? Does it smell funny? All these things are very important. And if I'm comfortable and it passes the mechanic check, then I'm ready for the test drive. Test drive is going to be very critical. If it passed the first test, in the first video, we talked about what you want, who you buying, narrowing down the fields, your first impressions, and all that kind of stuff. This video focuses on the mechanics. So if I take a test drive, I'm listening for noise. I don't want the person I'm buying the car from, I don't want them talking. If a person is trying to sell you a car, you probably shouldn't buy it. The car sells itself. You should always remember that. If a person is trying to talk while you test driving, it's a red flag to me that they may be hiding something. They trying to get your focus away from the car and on something else. Pay attention to that. If a guy's just sitting there quiet or he just lets you take the car, that's what you want. Now this is just video 2 of mechanics of a vehicle. Our third installment of how to purchase a car is going to be the actual test drive. What to listen for, how's the vehicle powering, the transmission, how is it shifting, all of those kind of things. We'll cover that in our next video. But mechanically, I'm okay with how this vehicle started and how it's operating so far. I know I got a check engine light to look out for, but that's not a deal breaker for me. I actually think I'm going to move on to the next step. There's a lot of times I don't get past the first step, but now we're talking second step. I've made it to the second step, on to the third step. So in our next video, we'll cover what do we look for on the test drive. Now, in conclusion to this video, the mechanics of a vehicle is a lot like the mechanics in our lives. A lot of people get hung up on how things look on the outside, but it's the inside that actually means the most for our lives. When I'm looking at the engine, it's like looking at your heart. Your heart and how clean it is, how well it's been maintained, is going to tell you a lot about who you are as a person. That goes for all relationships as well. A lot of people look great on the outside, uh, even in the interior, it looks good, but their heart's been through a lot. So the more miles a person has on them, you might say a body count or something like that. I ain't gonna get into all of that, but I'm just telling you, if a person has been through a lot, that engine is stressed, and the engine I'm talking about is their heart. And so it may look good. It may look good now as it presents itself, but 6 months down the road, how's that heart doing? These are all things you need to take into account, and you do it by looking at the small things, not necessarily the outside. People get caught up on how something looks, but that's not how it works. Look at the inside. Look at a person's family, friends. How do they treat them? You look at a variety of things. A resume speaks volumes. Okay, they spend their money, stuff like that. These are all heart conditions. They may be things are different with vehicles, but they're the same with people. So keep that in mind. And as always, like, share, and subscribe. Uh, any content you want me to cover with vehicles, motorcycles, and all those kind of things, we're gonna cover it all. Leave comments and uh, let me know how things is going. We can get more content based on what you like. This is one of my favorite vehicles I've ever bought. I've purchased, driven, and probably sold around 500 or so vehicles. But this one here is special. I don't necessarily mean I'm gonna have it for the rest of my life, but I'm tell you something right now. When I look at the purpose of how this vehicle was built, it gives me encouragement. Just like the Lord, how He's built you. Uh, he's built you for some good, strong things. Hopefully, He's built you less strong. Uh, that's it from Chaplain today. God bless and be blessed.